Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Jay Barino, and this is Starcraft Mass Recall, a Starcraft Brood War remake in Starcraft 2 by some hardworking individuals associated with SE2 Mapster, which is the Starcraft Mass Recall team. So, last time we finished up Rebel Yell, which is the first campaign, which is the Terran campaign, where we kind of cataloged Emperor Mengsk coming to power, Jim Raynor separating from him, and Sarah Kerrigan getting left behind. Now we're going to head to Overmind, which is the second episode, which is called Overmind, and it is the Zerg. So let's get started. Zerg, definitely my favorite race, though I'm not necessarily the best with them. Especially in StarCraft Brood War, the mechanics were a lot tougher because there were no queens. And that means your hatcheries could only have 3 larvae at a time, which definitely becomes a problem. Zerg campaign Overmind. The swarms have crushed the meager human resistance and laid waste to 9 of the 13 Terran worlds. Shortly after the fall of the Terran capital world of Tarsonis, the main Protoss fleet abandoned the Terran sector. Now efforts continue on Tarsonis to weed out the remaining Protoss forces.
Awaken, my child, and embrace the glory that is your birthright. Know that I am the Overmind, the eternal will of the swarm, and that you have been created to serve me. Behold that I shall set you amongst the greatest of my celebrants, that you might benefit from their wisdom and experience. Yet your purpose is unique. While they carry forth my will to the innumerable broods, you have but one charge entrusted to your care. For I have found a creature that may yet become the greatest of my agents. Even now, it resides within a protective chrysalis, awaiting its rebirth into the swarm. You must watch over the chrysalis and ensure that no harm comes to the creature within it. Go now, and keep safe my prize.
Oh, the Overmind's so cool! Let's go! So I'm basically a Cerebrit. Cerebrits control are like the second level of the Zerg leadership tier right under the Overmind. That's cool. Really eerie opening. I like it. Alright. So there'll probably be some opening dialogue, and then I'll explain the Zerg.
Hatchery is the heart of any Zerg colony. It spontaneously generates larvae, which in turn are used to spawn your various warriors and minions. Now, create a drone and start gathering resources.
Okay.
Overlords provide control for your minions.
More overlords.
As your forces grow in number, you must hatch more overlords to control them. To create your warrior strains, you must generate the various Hive structures. The drones themselves mutate into these structures, yet be careful. Never use your last drone to make a building.
Nice. Okay, so that's kind of the basic Zerg overview that Daggog just gave us. Here's the Chrysalis. It's got a nice little yellow outline to say, hey, this is important! Here are the creep colonies. I kind of went over these in the last campaign, but basically, instead of having a queen that spawns creep tumors that are invisible, you now have a building that morphs from a drone called a creep colony. And then those creep colonies can become the spore colonies or the sunken colonies, which are defensive structures. So it's definitely a little different than StarCraft 2. I really, really do like the changes they made for Zerg in StarCraft 2. Having a queen and inject larvae is just so helpful. Having to make an extra hatchery all the time does get expensive and a little arduous. It's not that big of a deal, but as you saw in the last campaign, space is always an issue. And it's kind of hard to... You have to save 300 minerals, and then the time you have to wait to build the hatchery just to get any sort of unit production going. I think, you know, being able to have queens is just...
Now,
speeds that up.
order your drone to become a spawning pool. You'll notice that structures can only implant themselves upon the creep. You can make creep colonies to extend the creep, but only a hatchery can be built upon open ground.
Okay, so I kind of just explained that with the creep colonies. I'm going to ignore him and make another hatchery first, just so that I'll have it good to go prior to starting more units. I think this amount of Zerglings would hopefully be good enough to defend myself early. I can't make sunken colonies until I have a spawning pool. I'll just go ahead and save up now. Zerglings, I think, are much better in StarCraft Brood War, only because I think their attack is, like, significantly faster. So that'll be really helpful. Alright, let's go ahead and get my spawning pool. Anyway, yeah, and the sound that they make when they attack is a lot... I don't know, it just sounds a lot more, it's a lot better than... It sounds like that weak, like, ksh, ksh in StarCraft 2, and this, it sounds like they're bashing against concrete or some shit. It's hardcore. Alright, so this mission, it's essentially the Zerg campaign, but not quite. Like, it's not like the Terran campaign. You have an actual objective to, you know, do stuff. Alright, they are attacking me. Should be okay with these Zerglings. Cool. Okay, so I repelled that with my initial Zerglings. Now that I'll have my spawning pool, I'll be able to make some defensive structures. Let's get a creep colony over here for the sunken colony.
Greetings, I am Zaz. I too am a cerebrate of the Overmind. I have located a small band of Terrans who could threaten the Chrysalis and the Hive cluster. You must not allow them to leave here alive.
Okay, so I'm going to get 2 more drones here, and then I'll start making more units. Now I'm going to make a sunken colony here, C. You can see it morphs pretty quick, too. I mentioned this in the last campaign as well, but the sunken colonies are so cool the way they made them, because they were able to take one of the models from Heart of the Swarm, which were the Impaler colonies, which I think were explained as, like, oh, the predecessor to sunken colonies. I don't know why they didn't just say they were sunken colonies in Heart of the Swarm. Either way, they're awesome now. They look so much better. They tried their best to make sunken colonies out of spine crawlers. The animation was a little wonky, but it, you know, it was what it was. Sunken colonies now, real cool. Thumbs up. Let's get metabolic boost, and let's get our evolution chamber, which is pretty much the equivalent of an engineering bay for Zerg. Let's get another overlord, and then let's just make a bunch of Zerglings. Zerglings, I just think they're so much better. They die just as fast as they did in StarCraft 2, but I don't know. It just seems like they do more damage. I don't know. So I'm very excited about that. Let's see. I've got my 2 hatcheries, so that'll be helpful. Hydralisks. Hydralisks are awesome. They're only 1 supply. They're hatchery tech, and they pretty much do what they do in StarCraft 2. So you're pretty much getting an awesome thing for less. And I believe they cost less, too. I think they're only 75 minerals? Yeah, they're only 75-25, as opposed to 150. Fantastic. And they're considered medium, not light, so they don't get absolutely annihilated by things that do well against light. So, like, vultures won't do really well against them. Firebats won't do really well against them. Okay, let's get the movement speed, just so that they can keep up a little bit with my Zerglings. I'm not that concerned about the attack range just yet, because our Zerglings are going to be in there taking up most of the hits. So let's get like 6 or 7 Hydralisks to deal with Wraiths, which I remember being in this level. Very similar to the Terran campaign, I have no experience practicing these levels. It's all coming straight from my memory when I was younger, when I played these, which... and I played them a lot. Like, I played through StarCraft so many times, and embarrassingly never actually finished it. I only got through to... the third to last level in the 6th campaign. So I pretty much beat it except those last 3 missions, but I just could not do that third to last level. But I wasn't a very good RTSer at the time, and I plan to rectify that. And now on hard mode of this, it's much harder. So I look forward to finally finishing Starcraft Brood War. And I feel like this is what Starcraft Brood War should be. Like, that might be blasphemy to some people, you know, who say, like, oh, how could you say that about Starcraft? Like, the original's the original and it's the best. Brr. Like, this is the... all the mechanics of this, it is Starcraft. It's the original one. The only things they changed were the things that were limited from technology at the time, in my opinion. Again, just my opinion. Some people can disagree, but I think that this is what Starcraft Brood War was always meant to be. Let's get a ton more Zerglings because they're awesome, and then let's move out. I guess we can wait for +1 armor here, because that will affect both my Hydralisks and my Zerglings. So as I was saying, I do remember there being wraiths, and these maps have been very accurate so far, so I assume that there will definitely be wraiths hanging out on this map. We should be good. Let's move out with this. Terrifying Zerg attack. Also, when I was younger, I didn't appreciate the effectiveness of Zergling speed. I used to not even get it, because I didn't like the fact that my Zerglings could get ahead of my other units, because I would just attack A into everything. But now I understand, like, Zergling speed is the bomb. I mean, it reduces the time it takes for them to get to the units to attack. Like, of course they're awesome. Let's attack these wraiths. Yikes. Now let's back up. That is quite a lot of stuff. You can hear the Zergling attack sound. It just sounds so much better. Hydralisks move up, support the Zerglings. Let's make a bunch more Zerglings. Same with the Hydralisk attack. It kind of sounds like they're spitting. When I always say when I was younger. When I played the original StarCraft, I read in the manual that, oh, they shoot spines, but it looked to me like they were shooting acid spit. StarCraft 2, they made it much clearer that they're shooting spikes, as you can see in their foreheads there, but I don't know what I'm even talking about. Yes, they're shooting spikes. Alright, so we're pretty much done with this mission. Another one of the destroy all the buildings, no exceptions missions. Man, Zerglings take down buildings quick. I don't know, so just my opinion, I think Zerg Tier 1 is just so much better in Brood War than it is in StarCraft 2. Alright. The downside is, though, you don't have queens, so you have to spend the money to get that extra hatchery, or 2 hatcheries, very quick. Let's get up here so that the Hydralisks are missing. Cool. So there's a short first mission. It's like kind of a semi-tutorial.
Our forces are under attack.
Alrighty, this has been Jay Barino, and I will see you next time for Mission 2 of the Zerg campaign. Bye-bye.